Man, was there some very interesting and a little bit concerning moves made on the market on Friday of last week. To close the week out, guys, we saw the NASDAQ push up into all-time highs and see a major rejection, unable to hold above previous levels of rejections, failing back below them and turning them back into rejections once again. The move on Friday, while it is still above our 19,900 demand, which we can see is right here, we have definitely saw some failure to hold higher, and there's some interesting things to take a look at on these technicals today. So in today's video, guys, we're going to do a breakdown of the NASDAQ, the S&P 500 futures, the SPY, and the QQQ. I hope you guys enjoy this one heading into next week. Press that like button, subscribe, and let's jump right into these charts. So guys, heading into Friday, we were looking very bullish, holding above some previous rejection points here. We were holding above our 20,085, broke above our 20,160 supply, and pushed all the way higher into the double top that we saw back here on Monday and Tuesday back in the middle of June. We saw that wick go all the way up to our 20,270 level, which we had very clearly on our charts the entire week. We saw that push right into that level, and we saw a nasty, nasty rejection come in, and a lot of selling start to step in right at our 20,270. Now, this is not a concerning rejection. What's concerning is the rest of the day, right? Because that is a very normal rejection, right? We have to understand, okay, what's a concerning rejection? What's a normal rejection? You know, what does the rest of the move look like after that rejection comes in? It is not unnormal, or it is not out of the ordinary to see that rejection come in, right? We knew that was a previous double top high. We know that that's a very possible rejection. That in itself is not a concerning move in the market. What is a little bit more concerning, and what caught my eye on Friday, is how weak the rest of the day was, right? So if we were strong here, and let's go into the 15-minute chart, or let's actually go into the hourly chart, and let's zoom in. If we were strong that day, and if buyers wanted to step back in, they would have had us hold above this 20,160, or at least the buyers would have stepped in at this 20,085 and tried to hold the market higher. Let me go ahead and move over a little bit, and you can see right here. So we did get above that 20,160. We got the rejection at the 20,270. Very normal. Now, what you would have wanted to see if you wanted to see more upside action was a hold back above these lows right around this 20,160. The market pulled back to this level, and we did not see any attempt to maintain above this. Now, the next level was right here. We had those previous highs at 20,085, 20,085, and 20,085. Now, when the market pulled back to that level on Friday, we did not see any attempt by the buyers to hold that level. So while this rejection is very normal, if you wanted to see this bullish action stay in the market, you would have really liked to see us hold above 160, or at the very minimum hold above that 20,085, and you did not. You failed right back under that 20,085, 20,085. You failed right back under the entire week's highs. Right here, we had those highs, we had those highs, we had those highs. We failed right back below them, and we traded right back into the 19,900 demand, which has been the hold level for the last week and a half. So, guys, the unfortunate thing is heading into next week, well, we are in the exact same spot that we started last week. We are in the exact same channel between 19,900 and 20,085. It was looking good on Friday for some holds and some continuation moves, but we could not see those buyers step in. And what you can see here at 20,085, I will break this down in a shorter term time frame. Look at how clear those rejections came back in on Friday. So if we zoom in on this short term price action, look at the attempt. We attempted the 20,085 hold, and look at how that level turned into a triple top rejection intraday. This is exactly what I talk about with the live stream and with the members about reacting to the market intraday. We can come into the day and we can look for pullbacks and holds at key levels, but we also have to be traders. We have to be short term. We have to be able to react to what the market is showing us. This right here is a prime time example of the market telling you that the buyers were not going to step in at that 20,085, that the selling took back over here, and you can see how that led to downside to end the day. So a very clear flip right here on the market, right? This is probably the most important thing to be paying attention to next week, and it was the most important thing to be looking at on Friday. The flip back under 20,085 was crucial. And this is where, and if you guys are part of the group, you know this, this is where I exited all of my longs, because you guys know this. I had NVIDIA longs last week, which I profited on, and I told the group, if we do not hold this 20,085, that is where I believe the flip could happen, and I do not want to be long or have exposure to longs over the weekend if this level does not get defended by bulls. And you can see it tried, it attempted, but failed and turned very clearly back into a rejection there, guys. That is a key takeaway from Friday's action and something that you need to be watching for the rest of the week, next week. And I just want to reiterate why that's so important, guys. It's because that is a previous channel high. You can see right here, channel high, channel high, channel high, 20,085. You would have wanted to see the bullish action hold above these levels to try and continue higher. It failed back under, and you saw that rejection on Friday, causing that downside move back to the downside demand. Now, coming into next week, guys, on the NASDAQ, if we do not hold this 19,900, that is going to cause more downside weakness, likely down into this 19,750. So for the bulls coming into next week, the defend level that must be held is 19,900, or that is going to break last week's lows, maybe excluding this Monday. But a lot of the holds that came in last week were around 19,900, all back here, and all of this week prior. We saw that 19,900 keep this market higher. If we do not see that hold come in on Monday or next week, and we start to see that turn into a rejection point, similar to what we saw at 20,085, that is going to be the next catalyst for downside back into the 19,750. A very clear thing that happened on Friday, things to be paying attention to. I wanted to point that out in today's video. Make sure you're watching your 20,085. Make sure you're watching your 19,900 on the NASDAQ futures heading into next week. So, guys, similar analysis here on the QQQ. You can see we got that pop higher into our 487 double top supply on Friday, and you saw that very major rejection come in. We'll go into the 5-minute chart. You can see right here, 487, the exact high of day. That was a very key level we were watching into Friday. It was those previous highs right here. Saw that rejection come in, and a very clean rejection move. Now, like I said on the NASDAQ, the rejection is not the concerning part, because that's you could very well anticipate that, and you could see that that could reject, right? That's very known. That was a double top high. How the rest of the day was the key. We could have held above previous levels. We did not. The key level that broke, the 20,085 on the NASDAQ, equals 483 on the QQQ. I'm going to go on to the 30-minute chart here, and you're going to see this was our 483 previous highs, our 483 previous high, and this was the level that you needed the bulls to maintain here, hold above that channel high. Even after that rejection came in, it would have been fine if the market pulled back, held this level, and maintained into end of week. That is not what we saw. We saw the QQQ reject that high and then fail back under 483. So that's a little concerning to me. If we do not get above or back above and we don't reclaim that 483, we are right back in the channel that we have been trading in. We failed back below the channel highs that were set. You can see we tried to hold above them. We did not. We failed, and that brought us back down to the demand lows, which is down at 478. So we are right back between 478 and 483 on the QQQ, failing to hold that 483. If we go to the 5-minute chart, guys, take a look at this intraday action on Friday. You can see intraday, we had an attempt of holding the 483 right here. We had a short-term attempt of holding the 483. It failed, and it turned into rejections the rest of the day. This was, again, the key flip that happened on Friday. The key flip from attempt of a hold to turning into rejections. This was key at 483 on the QQQ. As you can see, that is the exact same thing we talked about on the NASDAQ at 20,085. An attempt of a hold, which turned into rejections. 20,085 NASDAQ futures on the QQQ. That is our 483 level. A very key flip that you had to see and sort of pay attention to there on Friday of last week. Now, moving forward, we have a very clear demand low at 478 heading into next week. If we do not hold this demand low at 478, yeah, we're going to trade lower. down into that 474. All right, if we see that 478 turn into rejections next week, this is going to be the move you're looking for, down into these lows right here, down into these lows right here, that 474 level. So coming into Monday, let's look to see if that 478 holds us higher again, possibly pushes us back into that 483. You see a lot of rejection points, 484.30, our 487, and our 483. But you can see we are going to open the week potentially, depending on what the overnight looks like, at this 478 level. If we do not hold this, guys, this is where I believe you can start to see a little bit more of that downside action towards that 474. Under the 474, this is what concerns me. And this is something that I've been sort of eyeing for the last few weeks. Don't forget about that CPI straight up move, right? You guys know what we talk about on this channel. Straight up could very well mean straight down. So if we do fail under that 474 here next week, right, and we start navigating into this straight up move, we could very well see the QQQ aggressively move lower to that 469, being that this move was straight up. Something to be paying attention to. We're not quite there, but that is something you need to understand if you start to see the QQQ down at 474. The name of the game, guys, as it always is making sure you know how to react to these levels. You can prepare for them. You have to know, right? I know coming into next week, if I see the Qs under 474, I'm going to know, just because I've done my analysis and I've familiarized myself with the charts, I'm going to know that that could create quick downside. That's the key, and that's the edge you need to have quickly to react and profit off these moves. If you're not familiar with the levels, you're not familiar with the key holds, you're not going to be able to react to what's happening on the market as quickly as you may need to profit off these short-term moves. So I know heading into next week, if I see 478 fail, I'll be looking for downside to 474. If 474 fails, I'm going to know that we're going to be navigating into a straight-up move that could very well cause some downside action. The only thing that would maybe keep me from trading that is make sure you take a look at where that daily 20 SMA is on the QQQ. All right, guys, so heading into the S&P 500 future analysis, we can see we got that pop higher on Friday. We went right into the all-time highs, and we saw that rejection come in. Like I've been saying, that is not a out of the ordinary rejection. That's very common to see that double top come in. Not concerning in the slightest, but how the rest of the day followed through was this concerning part. We did not see the S&P 500 hold back above the channel highs. You would have liked to see the S&P 500 hold back above these previous highs of the week between that 55.52 and that 55.60. We saw that hold come in early morning on Friday. You can see right here, we had that 55.52 zone. We had those previous highs from the day prior. That was the level that pushed us higher on Friday. When we came back down to it, look at how it attempted to hold, right? See this attempt right here? It attempted to hold that previous high. It attempted to hold above the previous day high. It did not. It ultimately failed, and that's the concerning part. You can see right here, the previous day high was at that 55.52. We attempted that hold right here. We ultimately did not hold it, and we turned it into a rejection point. And that right there is the concerning part. The fact that we are back under that 55.52, back under that 55.60, we have to now understand that that is a potential rejection zone moving forward. You are back under the channel highs. Right here, you can see we are trading back under that channel high at 55.52, 55.60, and now we have to be cautious of those continued rejections that could come in at that level. The attempt was possible. Right? We attempted to hold above that zone on Friday, and the failure came in, something to be paying attention to. Now, the key spot, which is extremely clear, the most clear zone on the stock market most likely, and the thing that everyone's going to be watching is what happens right here between 55.10 and 55.18. This was the previous major rejection points that we have been very, very clearly holding above all of last week. We came back down to it on Friday, and we held it again. So what's going to be the key next week, guys? Does this level maintain? If it does, we will continue to trade within our channel. That would be more status quo channel trading, right? If we do hold that low, we'll just continue to trade in that channel. We'll move back higher, maybe back into the 55.50, reject, and sort of do this dance all over again. However, if we do see this level fail, if that ES goes ahead and fails back under that 55.10 and we start to see those rejections come in and we start to see these previous highs turn back into a rejection level, right? Where do you think we're going to trade next? The most likely target would be down here into the 54.70, back into that daily 20 SMA. So what's the spot to be watching for next week on the ES, guys? It's right here, that 55.10, 55.18. This was that level that has been holding. You can see it attempted to hold again on Friday. If that does not hold coming into next week and we fail that 55.10, I would be ready and prepared to look for that potential downside down into that 54.80. Let's go ahead and move over to the SPY ETF where we can see it is a very similar picture. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this red. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick update for you. We did not update that previously. So let me update that. That is now red because we are trading back below it. And we can see that the S&P, the SPY ETF, went ahead. It pushed higher on Friday up into that double top high at 551, rejected. As it came back lower, it did not hold above the 546.50. It did not hold over that 547 zone. We can see that was a very clear previous hold level that turned into the very clear rejections all of last week. As you came back down into it, the bulls would have tried to defend that, right? That would have been the bullish move, hold above that channel high and continue higher. However, you can very clearly see what happened. I'll go into the 5-minute chart and look at it just how clear, guys. On Friday, we had a very clean flip back under that level, back under that 547, that 546.50. Look at how clear those rejections came in and caused the downside continuation. The problem that I have here, like I've been talking about, is we are right back within this channel. And we have to now understand that that's where the market is back within. We have to be careful of those rejections moving forward. And we have to understand that there is still the downside demand at 542.50. At that 543.50, we can see that that demand has been very clear. And at the analysis is the same as the ES. If we fail back under that 542.50, that is where I'm going to expect the SPY to reject and trade back down to that 540, which is where that daily 20 SMA is. So very clear on the SPY here as well. We failed back under that channel high. We're right back at that channel low, that demand low. If we zoom in here, look at how clear that channel has been. More of the same here as of right now. We attempted to change something on Friday, and that change just did not stick. We attempted to turn the previous rejection points into a hold level. We did in the morning, right? If I go to the 5-minute chart, take a look at the morning. Take a look at that morning move. That morning move right here was right off that zone. We held that zone. We pushed higher. The bulls, if you wanted to see upside, you would have wanted to see this level maintain into end of day on Friday. That did not happen. We failed back below, and that's the concerning thing to be paying attention to into next week. So guys, as you know, we always do technical analysis here on the page, but we also do more in-depth analysis within our community. And I just wanted to make sure you guys knew, if you are interested in getting daily technical analysis on the futures, on the SPY QQQ ETF, and also on every pretty much major technology and major stock that I typically trade, you can always go ahead and join our TA group. It's down below. It says Get My Levels. It's a $20 per month subscription. You get access to my daily technical analysis. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm looking at on these futures, what I'm looking on individual charts, make sure to go ahead and check that out down below. I hope that this update video helped you guys. If it did, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Good luck next week. Make sure to join me on the pre-market live streams, 100% free analysis every single morning, preparing you in the pre-market. Have a fantastic rest of your night, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.